Okay, so for my language analysis project, I did it on Gerard Pique. So on the agenda for today, I'm going to be talking about his biography. I am going to give you guys the option of watching the interview sample. I'm going to be talking about his phonology, his morphology, his syntax, and the semantics of his language. So to begin, Gerard Piqué was born on February 2nd, 1987 in Barcelona, Spain. His parents are Juan Piqué and Montserrat Barnabeu. He started playing club soccer at age 10 and he won numerous titles along the way until he started playing defense for Manchester United in 2004 and he was first string by 2006. Piqué is known mostly for being able to score goals, even though he is a defensive player. He then started playing for Barcelona in 2008. And most importantly, he is the boyfriend to Shakira and he is the father of their two children. This is the video that I have on him if any of you would like to watch it. It is Gerard Piqué on Beanie Man Sports. Going into his phonology, he tends to replace S's with sh sounds, ah with o, and with air. For example, he says, I was lucky to be a part of really good teams. He's actually saying, I was lucky to be a part of really good teams. And then he goes on to say, when you jump against a striker that is tall and is strong, you can beat them. But he's actually saying, when you jump against a striker that is tall and is strong, you can beat them. Then he says, because my first year in Manchester, I was living with a family, and he was a great coach. He actually says, because my first year in Manchester, I was living with a family. So Gerard Piqué's morphology. So morphology is the study of meaningful units in a language and how they are combined in word formation. He struggles with the names of people and places. For example, his coach, Sir Alex Ferguson, sounds like Salix Ferguson, as in lines 23 and 25. I actually had to look that one up because I had no idea who he was talking about or what he was saying. And then he also says a lot of Manchester United. That sounds like Manchester Unite in line 10 and 23. He also has problems with the g and the w sound, interchanging the two. For example, he says was and when, and it sounds like guaz and gwen, like in lines 4, 6, and 9. He also struggles with free and bound morphemes. For example, he says that when he wants to say the word learned, it sounds like learn, like in line 4. You can also say that for Manchester United. He says Manchester Unite. So his syntax. Syntax is the arrangement of words and phrases to create well-formed sentences in a language. He says in line 4, this is why your back is like this, and this is why Vita retired, when he really meant, that's why your back is like this, and that is why Vita retired. He then goes on to say in line 9, I remember training in the gym doing boxing, when he really could have said, I remember training in the gym boxing. In line 15, he says, one day I wanted to try if I can succeed there. What he really meant to say was, one day I want to see if I can succeed there. Or, one day I wanted to see if I could succeed there. In line 18, he says, he asks you about if you feel comfortable in the city, in the country. What he should have said was, he asks you if you feel comfortable in the city, in the country. And then in line 22, he says, after the years when I arrived here and after I played everything, I realized that all the time I suffer alone, it makes me be more stronger. Here he's switching up a lot of the tenses. He could have said instead, after the years when I arrived here and after I played everything, I realized that all the time I suffered alone, it made me be more stronger, or made me be stronger, or made me have a stronger mentality. Any one of those, really. Okay, so his semantics. So semantics are the meaning of language and the words within a sentence. He uses a lot of fillers, kind of like I just did, mainly and like throughout the interview to gather his thoughts. For example, in line 21, he says it's difficult to understand everything when you are so young. In line 4, he says, I learned a lot from you, from all the teammates. And then in line 17, he says, I left everything and he was like a really good help from the start. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching my presentation, you guys.